There's a
18B.
Jesus fucking Christ. Happy New Year and welcome to episode 68 of the ADHD Adults podcast. Welcome to 2023,
It's not happy
I guess.
though, is it?
It's not. No, it isn't. But
mine is.
Oh, is it? Oh, good, Al. Oh, good for you. It's lovely.
So we're just going to carry on where we left off, aren't we? Obviously.
Yeah.
So I'm James Brown, the man resolved to one day having to stop doing this shit. And as usual, I'm joined by the man who everyone wishes had a lower resolution webcam, Dr. Alex Connor, and the woman who, when I asked her what her resolution was, said, fuck you. So it might even be a good year for me. Who knows? Mrs. ADHD. First, hi, Alex.
Merry New Year!
Oh, coming from America.
Trading places, not coming to America.
Very
trading
close.
Places. Yeah, he's just obviously stolen that.
Yeah, but that was how the character of Coming to America became the character.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
So this is.
I thought it was coming from America. No, he went to America. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So listeners can tell we've obviously pivoted now to just describing 1980s films and Eddie Murphy's role in them. I'm also joined by Mrs. ADHD. Sam, hi.
Hi.
And how are you, Mrs. ADHD?
Oh, God, really bad. Like, there's just so much going on. So do you want me to go into everything?
Well, you can talk. No. When you say hi and how are you, obviously the British thing to do is to say, oh, hi, not bad, or things have been better.
Oh, God, I always forget that.
Remember
hi, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, well, you don't have to say that, but remember the Thursday episode is where you can tell us why things are bad. And
so save everything till Thursday.
Yes.
Are we doing
Not
that,
everything.
though?
Yes, we are.
It's already Monday.
It's already Tuesday?
Is it Tuesday?
I honestly don't know.
It's fucking hell. It's Monday, but we're gonna release it tomorrow, which is Tuesday. So for those listening, it is Tuesday, not Monday.
Okay. So I'll save it. Yeah. Got it. I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
It's rare that someone asks. I'm, all right, getting on. Alex, how are you?
I am excellent, thank you.
What a fucking surprise.
We obviously we didn't do, and we'll never figure out why this was. We didn't do a podcast for Boxing Day, despite the fact that I both wanted to and was very available to do that. And I didn't get at all stressed and ill. Luckily, though, we still have listeners, many listeners, and I can't explain it, but one of them sent a letter, although they didn't send it. It was in a box I found. It doesn't matter where. It says,
what I'll say is if this one is funny, then does that actually prove that Robert from Kidderminster used to write them before? If this one isn't funny, if there's a difference in the quality, what does this tell our listeners about the author of Robert's letters?
So this letter says, I'll just read it. It says, I imagine you'll probably do an article on grief at some point in the future. I'd like to point out that James will try and make that one an hour. He loves grief. That one's from a Robert from Kidderminster that I found in a box. He did do that, Robert. Good spot. We have a real letter, and I forgot to ask permission. I think I can. Can I say it's from? No, I'm not.
Do you just do all the letters? When can I do something? Like I put all the letters up, and you don't even choose any of the ones I put up.
Okay. From next week, we'll give you a job. We'll give you a job.
Actually, I don't want one. I don't know why I said that.
We won't give you a job then.
No. I've read. Yeah.
It just annoys me that it's not one of mine.
That you wrote. Can you? I mean, it's not in crayon, Sam. So it's obvious you didn't write it. Right, we have a real letter. It says, hey guys, emotionally I tend to be very much like Alex. I know I need help. I'm only 10 minutes into this week's podcast, this was last week's, and I've cried twice. I think the release of this episode on behalf of all of you is incredibly strong. I can't fathom how hard this must have been for James. Thank you for being so epic, guys. We all appreciate you so much and everything you do. Thank you. I was going to do a mean one, but I thought I needed to do one good thing today. New Year thing.
Yeah. Well, that was lovely. Thank you, Cameron, or whoever you were.
I didn't say his name because I didn't ask permission.
Oh, fuck.
Soz.
So on the tick list of jobs you have to do, including asking permission for this part. I say tick list. It's actually one line written on the back of a photo of Angela Merkel. You haven't done any of them then, Al?
No, foolish to use Merkel on the picture. I didn't stop looking at it. We're also increasing on the international stage, James and Sam, 139 countries. And that's weirdly one more than, just checking my notes, than 2 weeks ago this time, which is weird. Anyway.
That's a trend.
Yeah, we're 97% sure that the new country is Equatorial Guinea, probably.
I'm 97% sure.
Is it not Equatorial New Guinea?
That's Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, that's just north of Australia. Equatorial Guinea is just under the hump of Africa.
Is Papua New Guinea where they worshipped Prince Philip?
No, but it wasn't too far away geographically.
Okay, carry on.
From that. No, it's okay. You've already ruined my gag. It's okay, Alex. Carry on.
Oh.
So we'd like to say hola y benvenido to our listener from Equatorial Guinea, and also we'd like to say that if you do enjoy doing light-hearted information about countries, don't Google Equatorial Guinea or its human rights record.
I've recently learned to do that.
That Samantha thinks that's rolling her R's.
It's really good, isn't it? I know.
Yeah.
I've only recently learned to do it, so
it's honestly like someone's bummed Mogwai from the Ewoks.
Oh, God. Anyway, as usual, this Star Wars sequel of a podcast, equally awful and recognizable, but somehow managing to unite most people into realizing it's totally shit, is a tragedy in 3 parts. We choose a theme. Last time was about grief, and this time we're focusing on for no other reason than boredom, ADHD, and resolutions. I'm not saying New Year's resolutions because that will tie us down in terms of metrics. So as usual, the three parts include Alex the Psychoeducation Monkey's dull and vacuous rambling about keeping resolutions, etc. Our personal reflections on the topic, and the third and final bit, which we very loosely, possibly even slackly, call top tips. So, Alex, I resolve after this podcast to kick you in the kidneys. Tell us about ADHD and resolutions.
And a happy new year to you too, James. Thank you. Despite the popularity of New Year's resolutions, your metrics obsession is weird. So currently, the knowledge about resolutions in general is surprisingly limited. Often when anybody wants to change something in your lives, you pick a milestone, such as, for example, the beginning of a new year, James, or the end of a job, and I will start then. This is referred to as the fresh start effect, or can be. As you obviously know, probably the most common of these is the beginning of a new year. And research has shown, for instance, that for 3 consecutive years in the US, nearly half of people have been likely or very likely to make a New Year's resolution for next year. Mm-hmm. Although it's not the same everywhere. 12 to 18% of Swedish people do. In the UK, it's about a quarter of us I have. Now, as our second biggest market is Australia, and James makes me say things to help metric. I don't know what metrics means, what even the word. Anywho, in Australia, a whopping 70% were reported to have made at least one resolution for last year. But it's midsummer there, so their New Year's the 1st of July, probably. I don't know.
That's
the best gag you've done in 68
episodes. I
episodes.
missed it all as well.
you were right there.
I wasn't listening to any of that, and it sounded like it might have been funny.
No, it wasn't funny. It was funny for Alex. No, it
funny for Alex.
But so regardless of the fact that lots of people make them, they don't fucking work, do they?
I'm glad you asked, James. Well, I'm glad you wrote it down in the script with loads of typos and grammar errors.
Oh my God.
No, it doesn't work super well, no. Despite the popularity of New Year's resolutions, objective evidence that they work is limited. One study found after 15 weeks, participants with pledges unrelated to weight loss considered themselves successful with 3/4 of what they resolved to do. Unsurprisingly, studies on Sam.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Just ignore me. I was trying to work out what you were talking about, and I thought we were doing this podcast on seasonal affective disorder. So I was thinking, what are they talking about? The lights? Do those lights not work then? I thought they did work. What's going on? And then, yeah,
it's hard to explain to everybody how clearly Sam has the actual script. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
I know it's in front of me, and I was going, I can't see any mention of those lights.
Absolutely stunning.
Those lights.
I don't know. I'm sorry. This is the first time I've seen this, and I wasn't listening.
Right. The problem is that they don't last very long either. So 200 New Year's resolutioners, 1 week into the new year, 3/4 had maintained them. A week in, after a month, nearly half of them had stopped. After 3 months, it's down to 40%, less than 20% at the 2-year follow-up. So data shows that people who reported a greater use of stimulus controls, greater willpower, using self-reward more consistently, were likely to achieve greater success rates. Another study said you need to be ready to change, and that readiness to change is positive outcomes. You also need a light that's like the sun, Sam. A really good study with over 1,000 people randomized into 3 groups. So some with support, some without support, and some with long-term support. The most popular resolutions were physical health, obviously weight loss, eating habits. It's all what you might expect. After 1 year, just over half of respondents consider themselves successful in sustaining their resolution. If you had approach-orientated goals, this is important for ADHD.
What does that mean?
That means that how you do it is more important than the goal itself. So you think about the goal and say, how do I take the approach to do this? It's more successful than avoidance-orientated goals. So I will just stop X. That's more successful. And the group that received some support was exclusively and significantly more successful compared to the other 2.
That's interesting. So the people that got extended support weren't as successful as the people that got some support.
Yeah, I don't know how. I didn't go into what extended support exactly meant, or whether it was. Yeah, but it is interesting. Okay. Maybe we need a kick up the arse at the start.
Well, I also hate to remind you, but this is an ADHD podcast. So at what point is your psychoeducation going to include that?
Thanks, pal. We call it a hospital pass, don't we? So predictably, no research, but just look at what we know and think ADHD. Resolutions involve change, and ADHD can be associated with change avoidance, lack of flexible thinking. But the novelty of change may give reward, but that's not the same as long-term sticking with it, right? Change requires consistently. And
God.
What? Go on, Sam. Because change is...
It's just really boring for me, this. I'm not involved at all.
No, true. And we ask it, just shush. Shh.
Okay,
that's all I can say.
Was that meant for me?
Shh, James, shh. Pair of you. It's New Year, new me. I'm shushing the pair of you. It was boring for me as well, actually. So in order for any change to occur, what we need is routine, support, and consistency. And routine, of course, is horrible.
Well, you've just said if we have too much support, then we don't stick to it.
It was just one study and they weren't ADHD people, but it is a really good point that maybe we should try just getting a little bit at the start so we can run with it.
Just don't include that information if it's not relevant. Just thought.
Holy shit. Least, worst, but I don't...
24 hours a day, 7 days a week for me, Al. This is my life. You have this little window into my life. This is what it's like all the time.
Take out the science you don't like.
Well, I mean, that's what some scientists do.
They do, yeah. We've worked with them. Wow. Routine, support, and consistency. Think about anything you wanted to change over the last year. Did you change it? No, obviously, mostly. Maybe some things, but why on earth do we think things would just magically be different just because the number at the end of the year of our Gregorian calendar has changed? That instituted by Pope Gregorian James, the 13th in 1582, because it better aligns with the solar cycle. Julian calendar's pretty far out. Not miles, James.
Fucking hell. That was fucking made for you. Why do we
think? Because I always think, yeah, but I'm going to do it this time. Not resolutions, because fuck those. But everything, I'm like, I'll do the same thing over and over and think it'll be different this time. Why do we do that? Or is it just me?
Hope over experience, I guess.
Mm.
Which is why we need an approach-centered change system, which is what we're going to talk about for the next bit, I reckon.
Oh, okay then.
Fuck
Got you.
me. Right, we'll take a break and we'll return with personal reflections in part 2. Welcome to 2023.
See you in a bit.
Christ.
Alex, hi.
Aight. What's up? Hello, Governor.
Welcome back to episode 68 of the ADHD Adults podcast. New year, same ADHD.
Part
What was that? Not enough? Oh, part
No,
2.
no, it was- yeah. And in part 2, we in part
do.
2,
What do we do next?
What do you do in part 2?
Oh, and in part 2, we're going to be looking at personal reflections on resolutions. Not you. No, you're not going to bet.
Okay, that was flawless.
It was.
Just to save time, I'll go first rather than
Okay.
ask someone to ask me. So, New Year's resolutions. I don't often do resolutions at this time of year, but I did once. Actually, right. I remember writing down 6 things that I was going to do. I was very unhappy. I was in a bad place. I'd spent New Year's Eve on my own, sat in my room, being lonely, etc. And I was like, no, I've got to change these things. I lost a piece of paper, and therefore couldn't remember any of the 6 things that I resolved to change. I may have changed some of them, obviously, probably immediately gone back to doing those behaviors, but I had no idea. And that's the most organized way in which I've ever resolved to do something. I hate this time of year anyway. And yeah, and because I don't like myself and the way I look, resolutions I make, as with most people, generally tends to be health based. I'm going to eat less shit. I'm going to exercise more. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, does it? Let's be honest. And we've been talking about this, Mrs. ADHD and myself. I've booked us into we've joined a gym, one that she desperately wanted to join a month ago. And then when I told her we'd join, went, oh, really? We're not going to go. And I said, but you were telling me, you were saying there's a portal to join. And then when I joined, you just went, oh, well, we're not going to go, are we?
It was new, though. It's a new gym, so I got really excited.
This feels a little bit, James, like somebody who's just been smacked in the face by a tree 23 times going, and I walked under the tree again and it hit me again and I don't know why.
Yeah. It's exactly like that. So if I do resolve to do something and change, what normally happens, as we've talked about with domestic anxiety and smoking and anything else, where I say, right, I'm going to do this now, is it lasts anywhere between 6 hours and 3 weeks. But as soon as one thing goes wrong, and that's a bad day at work, parent dying, typical things that happen every day. Yeah, exactly. I end up just immediately returning to those habits because they're comfortable. Because actually, it's just something that I know and something that You're eating there, are you, Sam?
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I thought I was just listening to you.
Amazing.
I forgot I was actually on the podcast. I'm sorry. I'll stop
popcorn,
that.
Did you?
No, it's just chocolate.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
Absolutely amazing. And I've now forgotten. I had something else I was going to say, and it's just
God,
fucking,
I'm so
it's gone.
sorry.
No, don't be. Don't apologize for being.
Can we make resolutions for the people, James?
We can probably try. They won't stick to it though. What about you, Sam? Tell us about your experience of resolutions and eating food on podcasts.
I don't do resolutions. I fucking hate Christmas and New Year, and I don't buy into all that resolution shit. In fact, I used to work in a gym, and we used to rely on people like us joining the gym and then not coming again because there were just too many people in January. So we'd hope that they would all kind of stop coming, because otherwise everybody was complaining that the equipment was because we'd oversell it, or I would.
So how do you change anything?
I don't.
That's the fair point.
I mean, I've got two hands up just to try and make sure I can interject here. Sam.
And anyway, if I was going to change anything, why would I do it at New Year?
I mean, that's the point. That's the point made in psychoeducation. Remember the whole Gregorian calendar bit and the gag about why would you do it?
Listen.
No, of course not.
But was that
what,
the good joke that I missed?
No,
Different. It was a good joke.
Well, yeah, it was. Sam actually wouldn't call these resolutions, but she does it all the time. I'm going to do this from now on. I'm going to do X. In fact, we were talking about bouldering. Is it, Sam? The thing that you want to do?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I
So
do make resolutions all the time.
Yeah, if you think about them as habits, as changing habits, changing behavior, doing something, changing your pattern of behavior, you do it
multiple times a day.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I do.
And so talk us through your reflections of that, of how of the excitement you get when you decide I'm going to do this thing, and then what happens next.
Literally, I was up all night last night getting excited about things I was going to do. I've made lists and lists on my phone. And it's New Year.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally stayed up all night writing lists of things I'm going to do.
I'm so glad we're back, guys.
Well,
I missed
that's a
this.
normal night for me. Anyway, I'll never do any of it.
I simply do not make New Year's resolutions. All I do is I resolve to change things in my life at New Year.
New Year.
And I resent the implication that I do.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I make resolutions all the time.
Have any of them stuck?
Poll.
Right, well, can we talk about that in top tips? Because I think
literally the only thing, yeah.
there's a reason for that change sticking. Alex,
Yes.
What do you do? What do you do in Germany? Do you?
Oh, he's going to be amazing, isn't he?
Glühwein and stare into each other's eyes.
Frohes neues Jahr. Yeah.
Oh my God, can we make Glühwein?
Yeah.
It's mulled wine, isn't it?
Yeah, really. Yeah, it's very
I wouldn't
similar.
mind some of that, you know.
You can, but you're better to make Feuerzangenbowle, which is even better. It's like rum and burnt sugar. So New Year's resolutions for me were always, I used to say a lot, I'm not a real boy. I don't say it now because apparently it's creepy.
You still say it.
I know, yeah, but it's creepy.
Everything you say is creepy.
Yeah, true. It's always been a point of shame, like a proper one. Growing up, I remember trying to make, and everyone else did it, and I used to try and keep a diary, like 3 days in after writing, went to youth club or whatever. I just couldn't do it. Could never keep up with anything. I never could understand why I couldn't commit or keep up with routine or anything. I was never, ever able. Obviously, we all know why now. The only way I keep resolutions of any kind at any time is also now the way I coach people with ADHD, which is approach-centered goal setting. I find the daily short-term reward of the path to that goal. And if that sounds boring, think again. It's very interesting, actually. So it's not, but it is.
Why
does
are you
work.
laughing, James?
I'm laughing. I've missed. No, I've missed it. The timing would have been good, but when he said the only reason I can do these things, which is the way that I coach, I was going to say shitly.
Shitly, not a word.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So I'm now good at them, and I do it by gamifying and approach-centered. So embarrassingly, I made this whole Google sheet of all of my, not really New Year's resolutions, but the things I need to do and gamify, really in depth, and accidentally put it on the charity Google Docs that I share with you two.
Is it on there? Amazing.
I'm hoping it's deleted because I deleted it. It's very embarrassing.
Oh, it'll be in it. It'll be in the history or something. That's going to be amazing. Is one of them going to be? Is one of them going to be have emotions?
Like when you were 12. Remember that, Dennis?
I have emotions.
You had actual emotions. Do you remember that? Like when you were 12 years old and you felt things.
Having to pinch himself on the hand to bring tears to his eyes when somebody passes away.
Onions in his pocket.
Yeah.
I don't like this. We normally do James. Right. So good. So a key tenet of ADHD is that we do things for short-term emotional reward. We don't always want to, but that's what our brain allows us to do. Like, not always, but mostly. And being quite time-blind, especially, we do things for now rather than how things will be in future weeks and months, or only for that. So there was no way little Alex was ever going to succeed with that. So for example, if I want to lose a few kilograms, I have to find a rewarding way of changing my calorie balance on the hourly, even daily, but even hourly basis. So there's no point saying, oh, well, I'll eat less and exercise more. What will I eat that will be different? How will I tell it's different? How will I enjoy the fact that I'm doing something different now, today, right now, not in 3 hours or tomorrow? How can I make that thing feel good as I do it? It's the same with exercise. So gaming it, beating a score, sharing notes with somebody else, anything like that, really. The only way I've managed to do any of these things, and as we all know, I'm an Adonis. Yeah, so clearly it doesn't work very well.
Amazing. Did you do the same thing with your fellow psychopaths? Do you all like share techniques for when you dismember bodies and how to get rid of them?
I think they're called rings.
Yeah, rings. Psychopath ring. Okay, thank you for that, Alex. There was some stuff in there that I'm sure that was useful. It's the year's first game of What's James Lost, Forgotten, or Mislaid this week.
Let's start again with the scorings. Everybody goes back to normal.
Well, we might do something to give Sam.
Doesn't matter.
To give Sam we might do something to change it to give Sam a job or a role in the future. We'll see. But for now, you've got a choice between. You've got a choice between Christmas and Cars, Alex and Sam. Remember, Alex can see your face, so if you do know the answer to this, try not to give it away. Christmas or Cars, Alex?
Well, because this is a specific holiday episode, so New Year's, but that's close to Christmas. So effectively, it's a Christmas episode, which don't bang to the James in the numbers. I'll say Christmas, please.
Okay, so as usual, you've got 3 options. And it is about me forgetting things for once, because often I just do other stuff. So, did I forget what to get Sam as a Christmas present and therefore got her something completely useless? That's option 1. Option B is, did I forget what I had asked Sam to get me and therefore had a genuinely amazing surprise when I opened the present when it arrived about 4 days after Christmas? And option 3, did I forget how many nephews and nieces I've got and therefore came up 1 short?
Oh, they're really good. I don't think it was that. I don't think that it was that you forgot to get Sam a Christmas present, because Sam spends Christmas with a special friend, doesn't she? So I imagine. I'm just guessing. I don't think it's nephews and nieces, because you're not allowed there anymore. So I'm going to say that you forgot the surprise present and got a brilliant present 4 days later.
Fucking bastard. He's got it right.
Yay! That's 1-0. Boom.
Yeah, well done.
It's this if you're watching on YouTube. It's one of the, I know. Exactly. How cool is that Chewbacca mask?
For him and then forgot.
It's
completely forgot. So I'm not
incredible.
It is, isn't it? And on that devastating note that Alex has got the quiz right, we'll take a break and we'll be back in. We're not starting again, for fuck's sake.
Agree to disagree.
We'll be back in part 3 for some top tips. See you then.
I thought you were going to say bye. So,
Sam,
you're wrong. Sam's rolling of the R sounds more like that Chewbacca than somebody rolling their R's.
She goes through, particularly when she's stoned, hours of doing this, like hours of yeah, exactly.
If you live in Franconia, you have to roll your R's.
I'm doing that with my lips.
Well, we know now. Right. Alex, do you want to bring us back in?
Yes, please.
Okay, so whenever you're ready.
Okay, coming back in 5, 4, 3. Look at me, not behind you. Look at me. 2 and 1.
Trumpet.
Hi.
Welcome back to episode 68, a very special Christmas and New Year edition of the ADHD Adults.
It's not.
New Year, brand new year, same old bloody you. Part 3, my favourite bit. We're spunk trumpeting all over the place with top tips. Yeah. I'm going to start with James, what do you do? What do you do? Tips for New Year's resolutions you don't do.
Well, I mean, I don't get them right, so it doesn't work. But what I'm trying this year, which isn't a New Year's resolution, but I am as Robert from Kidderminster was doing his thing, I didn't look after myself, so I have gained weight and become pre-diabetic or at risk of diabetes because I ate all the shit and didn't move for 10 weeks. So I do have to do something regardless of the time of year it is. And the approach that I know can help, first of all, is to get someone to help you, that support thing. So I'm working with Ash, who's going to help me do some stuff in terms of my physical activity. I'm looking at the food that I'm eating, but I'm doing it in small chunks. I'm not going from 0 to 60. I'm going from kind of 0 to 5. So rather than just saying, right, I'm going to go to the gym 5 times a week and I'm going to, eat all the healthy food that I don't like and all the things that I'm clearly not going to do. I'm trying to incrementally change my behavior to a way that routine establishes itself. And sometimes that can help because we like the novelty of something new, but if it's so vastly different to what you do and you don't like it, as with any lifestyle change, adherence is the most important thing. And with a resolution, whether it's smoking, whether it's your diet, whether it's dumping your weird wife, you need to do it in a way which you're actually going to face. You need to do it in a way which you're actually going to stick to. So don't set yourself up for failure. If you are going to resolve to change your behaviors, make sure that your goals are realistic, make sure that your goals are achievable, and make sure that that wanky smart acronym you can measure whether you've successfully met those goals and use the support around you. So buddy up with somebody. If you want to go to the gym and you're not going to go on your own, go with someone else, which was my approach with Mrs. ADHD, but obviously she's already fucking said she's not going to do that. If you want to lose weight and somebody else is losing weight, then gamify it. Use an app where you can note down your calories and you can compare with each other how you're doing. And there is an element of that works with the support groups people go through to lose weight, because there's accountability in there, and therefore those are my tips really, is to do it in small increments, get support, and try and introduce some accountability. And that segues nicely into Sam, who's going to talk about the one thing she has stuck with, which was a change, which was pole. Sam, so why is it you managed to stick with that?
I love how you lead the horse to water. Come on.
I know. Well, she's staring off into space, so I've got to do something.
No, she's not. Honestly, she's on an audio medium, browsing the internet. We can see you, Sam, and coughing and clearing her throat repeatedly while you talk. It's amazing.
I'm taking a lot today, actually. Well, you clearly noticed. Sorry about that.
No, we don't. We don't shame. I shame. Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Oh yes. So why have I stuck with pole? So I don't really know. I think because no, I kind of do. So in fact, I was talking to Jack about this the other day, because he was saying you don't try and get out of as many lessons as you used to now.
Who's Jack? Just to remind people.
My pole
Christmas
instructor.
friend.
Sorry,
Yes.
Jack's my amazing pole instructor, and actually he works in a way that's really ADHD friendly. I have to have private lessons because I don't do people.
Ding.
I do too many people. I have to have not anymore. I have to have private lessons. So. And as long as I can get myself there, I do it. So I have to just trick myself into getting there. Because what I used to do before was I would think about it before I was going, and I would think, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So then I'd cancel it. Now I try not to think about it at all until I'm there. So I just get there and I do it. And that's how I've stuck at it. But also Jack's really good, my pole instructor, because I never know what I'm going to do. So it's kind of follows the same kind of structure. So I've got that comfort, but it's something different every week. And the goalposts are always changing. If I achieve something, it's something else, and it's something. Sorry, not my. It's something else, and it just keeps moving all the time. So it's really, and I do pole, aerial, trapeze, silks, flying pole. There's so many things that I can do there, and I never know what I'm going to do. So that's.
So if we were going to rephrase that as an actual tip, what you might say is to mix things up so there's an element of novelty. The other thing which you didn't quite mention is the fact that you've certainly said to me in the past you don't like to let Jack down. And again, that is accountability, isn't it? That idea that if you don't do this thing, you're letting someone down. And again, if you've got a buddy that you can help with your resolution or change in behavior, that can sometimes help because you don't want to let that person down.
Yeah, and I fucking love it as well. Like I love hanging upside down and landing on my head and all that stuff. I love it.
Oh, you've landed on your head loads of times. Now it's starting to make sense.
It is. And what about you, Balloon Face? What's your top tip?
Oh God, Sam's just nailed it. Really. Well,
have I?
No. Yeah, essentially, what you were saying, and if you extrapolate that for anyone, you're saying that you only have to cancel once, and that's the problem with doing something. Even if you really love it and want to do it, you have to. If you think about it all day, you only have to cancel once in 7 hours, but you have to not cancel every few minutes. So not thinking about it, doing something else when you're overstressed is a really good one. And then avoidance as well. So if you're trying to not do something, I'm trying to do dry January at the moment, and I only have to have that drink once. So I absolutely have to displace it with something healthier than booze. And that's it. So one of the reasons avoidance doesn't work as well is because you only have to not do that once. However, even where it isn't avoidance, where it's doing something, you can still cancel or not do it. Absolutely figure out if there's something you want to do. Like Sam likes doing pole, just putting that out there. Or running. I like running or cycling at the moment. Do it at a time that's really good for you, that you are active, your golden time, because if you leave it till the evening and you're not very good in the evenings like me, it ain't gonna happen. My personal reflection on this of breaking it down to small achievable chunks right now, that as a concept, the process works for everybody with ADHD, but the specifics don't. The same fundamental approach does, but the specifics don't. So don't think that because Alex likes the calorie counter, that has to work for you, or you haven't got ADHD. It's just bullshit. Everybody's ADHD is so different, and what you like is different as well. So breaking it down and finding short-term emotional rewards, whatever that means to you, will work. But don't look to somebody else for the exact specifics. You got to have a little think. That's it, James. That's my tips.
Thank God,
I guess.
Maybe you could put little ones in as side quests as well.
Yes, yeah. I know loads of people that do that. After you introduced it, Sam, people have talked to me loads about it. They do.
I love having side quests in my to-do list. It's brilliant.
My son says he lives for the side quests more than the life.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
Life is shit.
No.
It is. Why the fuck do we do it? Anyway, I'll get to that on Thursday.
Okay. Anyway, quick product recommendation of the week is anything free that supports your change in behavior. Free being the main thing. Don't subscribe to a fruit-based fitness program on your phone that's $9.99 a month when there's a free version which will give you the same opportunity to not do it. Same with gyms. Don't pay for a gym that your wife tells you if she really wants you to join, and then 3 weeks later says not interested. If
you're going to think about getting an ADHD diagnosis this year, don't pay for one of these ASRS forms that is literally free on the internet from lots and lots of places.
People charge.
Yeah, there's one very popular organization that says here's 30% off our test to see if it fucks me off royally.
Awful.
Anyway, that was episode 68 of the ADHD Adults podcast, where we talked about definitely not New Year resolutions and ADHD. If by a New Year miracle you enjoyed this episode, why not support the charity on the links provided? Because otherwise Alex is going to resolve to never stop doing this podcast. As usual. I know. As usual, contact us on the Discord. We actually had a lovely Christmas Day drop-in, didn't we, from the Discord community?
We did actually.
Sam and myself chatted to a few people, and that's the kind of thing that often happens through Discord or the socials. Get in touch, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
And James, we had an amazing card, didn't we, with messages as well? I just wanted to say.
Oh yeah. No, we'll I think we'll talk about that
Talk
on
on
Thursday
Thursday.
episode. Yeah, we will.
Good. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year for this special. Bye all.
See you later.
Trigger warning klaxon, 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 big klaxon. Trigger warning klaxon, 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 klaxon. Trigger warning klaxon.